Om Sarvadharmastapakastvam Sarvadharmaswarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. We are reading from the 6th chapter of Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, as the spiritual teacher, first part. Name of the chapter being The Mood of the Spiritual Teacher and Mathuranath. And we have read 14 paragraphs of that chapter. And the last thing was Mathur's good luck. And in that paragraph, we made 2 corrections also in translation. In the last paragraph, life cannot but experience the result of actions of both kinds is wrong. Cannot but do some karma. Cannot but some karma will be done through them. Result as much as pride and egoism in them goes away. We have seen that Abhiman Ahankar, identification with the body and result in I. Anyway, so now we come to 15. And we have seen that Mathur experienced Thakur as Shiva and Kali both. Great manifestation in the master day after day of the mood of the spiritual teacher and Mathur's feelings on tasting him. Mathur was tasting him also. As days passed, Mathur's vision of the spiritual mood in the master became clearer and his devotion to him firmer. Meanwhile, there happened many events. An extremely painful feeling of a burning sensation in the master's body on account of the separation from God and the treatment thereof. The Bhairavi Brahman is, that is one event. The Bhairavi Brahman is advent at Dakshineshwar and the demonstration in the presence of a circle of Pandits invited by Mathur with the aid of evidence from Vaishnava books that the master was an incarnation of God. Advent of Bhairavi itself is one event, and she cured that Gadradha, and she declared that Thakur is avatar first time. The arrival of Totapuri, the great Vedantin, and the master's initiation in Sanya during that first 4 years. The coming of the aged mother of the master to Dakshineshwar and her stay there. This is important because Mathur wanted to give money through her and so on. But since the day on which the strange vision mentioned above took place, Mathur had become closely related with almost all the events that happened daily in the master's life. Mathur made arrangements for the master's treatment by Ganga Prasad Sen, the famous physician of Calcutta, and Dr. Mahendra Sarkar, two different treatments. Though both are written as physician, one was Ayurvedic doctor and the second was homeopath. The master felt a strong loving desire to adorn the mother with anklets and other ornaments of the same pattern as are used by ladies of Uttar Pradesh. What is the adjective given? Strong loving desire. Desire for mother's ornaments. Strong and loving desire. Now, Bengali one word only is there, and that is sad. So sad is a strong loving desire. Sad, I know as a desire, but there seems to be some special problem there. Let us check up sad, because we should not simply go by it. निर्वाचन साध इच्छा स्वेच्छा काम्यता इच्छा वासना आकांक्षा कामना विलास साध आकांक्षा स्पृहा साध क्षुधा दोहद. Anyway, special desire. Okay. And Mathur had them made at once. Again, at the time of practicing the attitude of female Again, at the time of practicing the attitude of female friend of the Divine Mother, prescribed in Vaishnava books, Vaishnava books, the Divine Mother is there. वैष्णव तंत्रोक्त सखी भाव साधन काले स्त्रीलोक दिगेर न्यायवेशभूषा करीबे निरूपिच्छत सखी भाव न who सखी not Krishna's or Radha's. No, in Vaishnava Tantra does not mean Tantra here. Vaishnava Tantra means Vaishnava Shastra. So in Vaishnava Shastra, this Divine Mother place is there. Oh, Radha Sakhi or Krishna Sakhi. Sakhi is applying to God. Sakhi Bhav. Bhav is with God, relation with God. But Thakur had Sakhi Bhav for Divine Mother also. But then that cannot be called Vaishnava Tantra. So anyway, Bengali should understand it better. Divine Mother prescribed in Vaishnava books, he had a mind to put on the dress and ornaments such as those used by women, and Mathuranand had a suit of diamond cut ornaments, a Varanasi sari. What is Varanasi sari?
Varanasi special sarees.
Silk special sarees are there. Some places are famous for that. In South we say Kanjivaram silk. And silk always goes by the name of the place from where it is made. So Varanasi sari. In Madhya Pradesh there is a Chanderi sari. Varanasi sari, a wrapper, and such other things brought immediately. Wrapper, now in English. Bengali is Odna. Odna, you understand? Not exactly Gungat, but something like that. Like our Uttariya, the ladies said. Okay. And such other things brought immediately. When he came to know that the master desired to go and see the festival at Paniyati, Mathur made immediately arrangements for everything, but that was not all. He himself went in disguise with a bodyguard with him in order to protect the person of the master, lest he should be put to inconvenience on account of big crowds. Just as on the one hand, we have heard of Mathur's wonderful service, so on the other hand, we have also heard from the master that he set dissolute women on him prostitutes to see whether there arose in the master's mind any impure feeling. That he proposed to Kam and Kanchan, that he proposed to transfer in writing in a all the trust property of the temple to the master, all the trust property of the temple, at which in a state of divine anger, the latter was about to beat him, saying, "Do you want to make me a worldly man?" And that Mathur was once other side, and that Mathur was once saved from the danger of being very severely punished by the court on the charge of homicide. Homicide, you know, like murder, not directly murder. So it is called homicide. In connection with a riot over his estate. When in order to escape from that danger, he confessed to him, Mathur confessed to Thakur, everything and took refuge in him. We see from these facts that devotion to the master was gradually taking from roots, gradually taking firm roots in Madhur's mind, because all the suspicions and tests also were seen what is happening, and direct help also. And how could it be otherwise? Just as the master's wonderful character unintelligible to human beings, and rare even among the gods, stood all the tests of Mathur and appeared brighter as days passed, so correspondingly his never failing selfless love completely captivated Mathur's heart. Remember that word love had come in the previous chapter? Here it is clearly mentioned. And there was no selfishness in that love. Mathur saw that he could not be deflected from the path of renunciation even by an inch by an offer of a property worth lakhs of rupees. That one could not produce a change in lakhs in those days. That one could not produce a change in his mind with the help of beautiful women. That he could not be led astray or made egoistic by an offer of worldly respect and reverence. For no greater respect can a man offer to another than to worship him as God. And that he did not want anything in the world for himself, and yet he did not look down upon Mathur, in spite of knowing all the weaknesses of his character, loved him as more than his own, and saved him from dangers again and again, and was always thinking of his welfare in all respects. That is the unselfish love. Mathur put this question to himself, why all this? And he felt that, though in a human body, the master was a person of the country where there is no night. What is the expression? No, Bengali I know, Jakane Rajani night. But in the scriptures, Shata Shaturupnisha, Tamasa Parasta. Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parasta. That is, renunciation was wonderful. His self-control, knowledge, devotion, and actions were all wonderful. And above all, his love and grace for a weak but vain mortal like himself was wonderful. Another thing that Master Mathur felt simultaneously in his heart of hearts was the sweetness of that unique character. Sweetness of character, sweetness is a taste. The master remained that simple boy, though there was that unprecedented manifestation through him of divine power. There was not the slightest egotism. That is the sweetness. How strange! Like a boy of 5, he did not conceal even a little of whatever thoughts arose in his mind. There was always the same mood within and without. This all of sweetness. Whatever was in the mind was wholly manifest in words and deeds in all sincerity. Yet he never expressed anything which might be harmful to anybody. You see how this is combination? Simple and simpleton, there is a difference. If boys are simpleton, ignorant, then they will talk anything. They are not understanding the falafel result. But here, if he knows that some harm will come, he will not talk to anybody. Even if he had to suffer bodily pain. That incident, that is coming now. The incident about this last point is will be described now. The priest Haldar's conduct at seeing Mathur's increasing devotion to the master. Jealousy broke the heart of Haldar. The Kalighat priest of Mathur Babu. When rich people go to pilgrimage place, they have their own priest there. So they do not have to fall in Panda's hand. Mission is like that. In Allahabad, a very sweet person, now he has passed away. Now his son perhaps is doing that. In Allahabad, the main thing is Sangam Snan. And a Panda, Keshavananda was his name. And he told me, I came as a Panda but became a devotee by Thakur's grace. From him I learned first of all our famous Ramakrishna Sharanam. He used to take us by boat to that Sangam. And on the path he would, all sadhus were there, but he would be the leader. And we would all follow him for that Ramakrishna Sharanam. Then after a long time when I had gone to Allahabad, I heard he is no more perhaps or become, and his son is doing that work. So, there I was reminded that as rich people have their priest, mission also has their own priest. And mission pays to him. He said not came as a panda, but became a devotee. Jealousy broke the heart of father. So Kalighat is nearer to Mathur's house, Jan Bazar. And there they often go. And for that there is a priest. Kalighat priest of Mathur Babu, when he saw the latter's firm devotion to the master, he thought the man had charmed the Babu by means of incantations, etc. Is this rogue of a man going to spoil my long attempt at getting this fellow, the Babu, under my control? He was trying all those incantations or whatever it may be, or flattery or like that. He again feigns the mood of a simple child. He could not understand Thakur's Baldabhav. Feigned. If he be so simple, let him tell me the incantation of putting a man under a spell, because there was no such thing. I had exhausted all my spells on this Babu, and that fellow was about to obey the reins when this interloper came between us. So, what is this lesson? A man with jealousy or a man with evil intentions always has wrong interpretations for anything. He is subject to interpretation totally, which has no resemblance in fact, opposite to the facts. Why imagine like that? Because his desire is not getting fulfilled. So, vicious people or jealous people, they imagine things totally opposite to the facts. And they will try to harm them also. Now, with the increase in Mathur's devotion and reverence, he began to have a strong desire for keeping the master's company, Mathur, constantly and for serving him more and more. Therefore, he extended pressing invitations, brought him to his house at Jan Bazar in Calcutta, and enjoyed his company from time to time. In the afternoon, he would take him for a drive to the Eden Garden and other places of interest in Calcutta. He thought, can any and every plate, cup, etc. be considered fit for father to eat and drink from? Thinking so, he had a new set of gold and silver things made in which he offered him food and drink. What is gold and silver? The big things like plate may be made of silver, Glass cup may be made of gold. He dressed him in excellent clothes and said, "It is you, father, who are the owner of all these, his estate and other property. I am nothing but the steward. Consider how you eat and drink from these gold plates and silver cups." Oh, it is mentioned here. I am telling reverse. Gold plate and silver cups. That is usually. And glasses. Silver cups and glasses. And then leave them behind without even looking at them. And have them cleaned and placed in a safe place so that you may use them again. Then again, I have to be busy taking care of them and seeing that they are not broken or stolen. The pitiable tale of a pair of Varanasi shawls. Now, how shawls are purchased in pairs, that is a little strange, but they are purchased. We heard from the master of the pitiable condition of a pair of Varanasi shawls, which Mathur purchased for 1,000 rupees at that time. Today, what would be the price? Saradan Swami has mentioned elsewhere. Today it will not be available, he said. Why they purchase this? Just because they are rich. To whom? To whom but the master should he make a gift of them? Thinking thus, Mathur wrapped them around his holy person and was filled with great joy. The pair of shawls was indeed very valuable. For their price, even at that time being so high, such material is perhaps not at all available now. With the shawl on, the master was at first going about very happily like a boy. He was looking at it again and again, calling others, showing it to them, and telling them that Mathur had brought it for him at such a price. But the next moment, the master was like a boy in a different mood. He thought, what is there in it? It contains nothing but an amount of goat's hair. Wool is not called wool here, goat's hair. It is also a modification of the five elements of which all things are made. And as regards prevention of cold, why quilts and blankets are equally adequate. Like all other things, it is also not at all helpful for the realization of God. Rather, when one puts it on, one thinks oneself superior to others, and one's mind turns away from God, since it increases pride and egotism. So many are its defects. Thakur's wonderful. Thinking so and throwing the shawl on the ground, he said, it does not help one in realizing existence, knowledge, bliss. I spit on it. Saying so, he actually started spitting on it and then rubbed it against the dust on the ground. If something is not helpful, totally against that thing. Something is helpful, 200% for that thing. That was Thakur's mind. He was at last ready to set fire to it when someone happened to come there and recovered it from his hands. When Mathur Babu came to know of the fate of the shark, he did not at all feel sorry. On the contrary, he said, Father did very well to do so. That is very strange. In the Ramayana, there is an incident. Now, Lanka had so many gods. Bibhishan has become the king. So he presented a best garland to Rama. after his coronation. Rama handed over to Sita. Sita gave it to Hanuman. And the story goes that Hanuman started breaking each money by his teeth and throwing away. Vibhishan got upset. Up till this giving to each other, he could not say anything. And Rama thought, what I shall do, let Sita wear. And for Sita, the dearest person is Hanuman. So Sita gave to Hanuman. But Hanuman is doing like this. So Vibhishan says, after all a monkey, why you are doing like this? He said, I am testing whether there is Rama in that or not. If there is no Rama, for me it is just a stone. Then that story goes, Vibhishan said, is there Rama in you? And then he tore his heart and showed Rama and Sita sitting there. That is mythology, but that is the story. Here Mathurababu said, Thakur has done right. So much influenced by Thakur's mood. I purchased for 1,000 rupees. He does not know anything. The master's non-attachment. It is very clear from the events record. It's a very strange event. Only Thakur could do like that. A shal incident is there in Mahapurush Maharaj's life. Do you know that? He was in Springfield those days, near Uti, or in Uti itself. And some devotee presented a shal. He actually put it on Mahapuruji's body. And Mahapuruji was liking it. And the washerman came with a small daughter of his. And she looked with staring eyes on that shal. Mahapurush took it and gave it to her. Oh, you are liked it, na? Take it. So Thakur's disciples are like that. And Thakur did not wait for that. Thakur was burning it. It is very clear from the events recorded above on what a high plane the master's mind always dwelt, in spite of Mathur's best endeavor to keep him in the midst of comforts and enjoyments. But wheresoever it might dwell, that means whether in Dakshineshwara or in Jan Bazar, it was always filled with ecstasy. Filled with ecstasy. No, there has to be some special expression. Oh, Bengali sentence, huh? যেখানেই থাকুক না কেন এ মন সর্বদা আপন ভাবে বিভব. That means he lived in his own mood. That could be the meaning. No question whether he is living Dakshineshwar or Jan Bazar, the outside place. He lived in his own mood. So here it does not matter whether he is in Dakshineshwar or Jan Bazar. That will be the better translation. Eh? It was always filled with ecstasy. No, this does not is parallel to wherever he lived. That is why. Wherever he lived in his own mood. That mind saw light only, the light that casts no shade, that is not liable to waxing and waning. This all the Swayam Jyoti Brahma description. No waxing or waning. And before which the brightness of the sun, moon and stars and the flash of lightning, let alone fire, are very dim, nay, almost dark. This is from Kathopanishad and Mundakopanishad. Mm. Mm. Oh, it is yet to come. Okay. While other minds saw masses of darkness, his mind dwelt in that realm of light. This other realm, the world, filled with malice, hatred, and crookedness, a permanent dwelling place of lust and anger. Why? It was just a place to which he had come on a flying visit out of compassion. So he was not a resident, NRI. No, but he's staying there. That was all. So although he was living at Jan Bazar in Mathur Babu's house, abounding in all kinds of luxuries and worldly enjoyments, the master was the same master, unattached, devoid of egoism, beside himself night and day with his own divine mood. What the priest Haldar did at last. Just before dusk one day, the master was lying in the divine semi-conscious state in Mathur Jan Bazar house. Semi-conscious means whatever Haldar did, Thakur could understand, but no reaction or response came from him. That is semi-conscious. There was no one near him. The master's ecstasy was coming to an end, and he was gradually having a little consciousness of the outer world. When Haldar the priest happened to come in, when he saw the master alone in that state, he thought that that was just the opportunity to serve his purpose, because he is alone. He approached him, looked around and said again and again, while pushing about his holy person, "O Brahmin, tell me, how have you made him subsequent to you? How is it that you are silent and feign ignorance? How did you captivate him? Why don't you speak?" Although he repeated the question again and again, the master did not or could not say anything. Did not or could not, because he was in the divine consciousness. For he had not then the power to speak at all. Haldar then became angry, kicked him with great force and said, Go to, rascal, you have not told me anything. Go to, rascal. Is this expression complete? Oh, ja, we say in Bengali. So go. Some other thing is there? Rascal. Okay. Ja, shala. Bolli na? So this go to, what is that expression? Maybe in English. No, ja is not actually go. Ja means He did not speak, that's all the meaning. Let it go, like that meaning.
Yes. Expression.
You have not told me anything and went away. ঢং করে চুপ করে রইলি. No, one thing I wanted to see. সজোরে পদাঘাত করিয়া kicked him and went away. Devoid of egotism, the master made no mention of the incident since he knew that Mathur Babu was sure to be furiously angry and to inflict a very severe punishment on the priest. That is that explanation. Should he come to know of it, a short time after, the priest incurred Mathur's anger by committing some other offense and was dismissed. And then one day, in the course of conversation, the master mentioned this fact to Mathur. Hearing it, Mathur said in anger and anguish, had I known it before, father, the Brahman would have indeed lost his head. Mathur's and his wife Jagdamba Dasi's devotion to the master and the master's relation with that family. This is also something very special. Rani's other daughters were not like that. Rani himself is a great devotee. And Rani's youngest daughter Jagdamba and her husband Mathur are of that type. They have great devotion to Thakur. Jagdamba's devotion could have come instinctively or through Mathur. If you want to know how deeply Mathur Babu and his wife felt in their heart of hearts the infinite grace of the master as the spiritual teacher, that is what is being described. Here the teachership is being shown through actions. And how truly they surrendered themselves to him as God himself. We have convincing evidence thereof in the fact that they did not conceal anything about themselves from the master. Both of them knew and said, Father is not a man but God himself. Of what avail is to conceal anything from him? He knows everything, the inmost secret of anybody's heart. These were not just empty words. They acted up to them. How many were the occasions on which they did everything, eating, drinking, walking together with Father? One thing is missed in English, I knew that, for the taste of the English people. Unimaginable. You understand? बाबा के लोहिया एकत्र आहार विहार एवं एक शय्या कतो दिन शयन पर्यंत उभये करियाचे. Understood? Husband and wife are sleeping together on the bed, and that also in presence of Thakur. In English, they have missed it because it will not be to the good taste of the English people. What did it matter? What did it matter if father always under all circumstances freely visited the inner apartment of their house? What mattered it again if he did not do so? For on many occasions they got proof of the fact that he knew all kinds of thoughts in the minds of all. And father might very well be considered as good as a wall or some other insentient thing as regards the chief evil, the feeling of mental impurity arising from the free mixing of men and women. Was it not a fact that none of the ladies in the inner apartment had felt that kind of shyness and hesitation as they did in the presence of other men? Not only Jagdamba, but it spread to other ladies of the inner apartment. They felt that he was but one of them, or a boy of 5. Sakhi Bhav, so he was one of them. Or he is a boy of 5, does not understand anything. We were surprised to hear many stories from the master's own lips about the wonderful loving relation that existed between Mathur's family, including the members of the inner apartment and the master, who had converted himself thoroughly in thought and feeling into a female companion of the Divine Mother by constant meditation for a long time on himself as such. That is true. But then it shouldn't be called Vaishnava Tantra. So that is what I feel. Yeah, English translation. Mhm. Okay. काजे सखी भावे भावित ठाकुर. Bas, this much. So here also Divine Mother and this anyway. Sometimes he said he would come out dressed as a woman in the company of the ladies of the family with a chamar in his hand to the place in the outer apartment where Mother Durga was being worshipped and would fan her holy image. Sometimes again, when the husband of a young lady of the family arrived, he would adorn her with beautiful dress and ornament, just as one of them. Just as on account of his mood of the spiritual teacher, these ladies were firmly convinced of the Master's divine nature and revered him as such. Even so were they thoroughly acquainted with his immaculate selfless love for them, and poured out their hearts' love to him, and acted and behaved with him with a freedom rarely imaginable. Here also English has swallowed certain things. When the husband came, what did he do? কখনো বা কোনো যুবতীর স্বামীর আগমনে তাহাকে সাজাইয়া বুঝাইয়া বেশভূষা করাইয়া স্বামীর সহিত কিভাবে কথাবার্তা বলিতে হয় তা কানে কানে শিখাইতে শিখাইতে শয়ন মন্দিরে স্বামীর পার্শ্বে বসাইয়া দিয়া আসিতেছেন. Do you understand this much? Let me translate in English for the audience who do not know Bengali. When some husband of some young girl came, he would decorate her, dress her, and in her ears tell her how to behave with the husband. And in the room where she would sleep with the husband, there he used to make her sit and go back. This is work done by the elderly ladies to the young married woman. That he is doing. And they do not feel any different. They feel one of them. This English, I told already, it will not be in the good taste of the English people. So these things are dropped. But we have to follow. Contrary moods coexisted in the master. Saradananda Swamiji's balance has come. Because of this practice, he has not lost that he is a man. Because inside him both are there. That is why he could immaculately become like that. On the one hand, we find the manifestation of the divine love devoid of the slightest tinge of lust and self-interest, like that of a female friend, toward the woman of Mathur's house in the inner apartment, and on the other, of his divine knowledge and incomparable intelligence in his behavior with men, and in circles of learned scholars outside. Outside means in the outer apartment. And we wonder how these various opposite moods coexisted in him. Who is this multiform master? In Babu. A meeting of the Pandits convened at Dakshineshwar for getting a scriptural injunction about a broken image. So that will be described now. At that time at Dakshineshwar temple, the two images of Radha and Govinda used to be brought daily from the adjacent bedroom. The description is a little peculiar. You understand? No, they are taken for Shayan. It starts from there, brought from Shayan. Because the day would start like that. Used to be brought daily from the adjacent bedroom and seated on the throne in the main room of the temple, and they were taken back to that bedroom for rest when the midday worship, food offering, etc. were over. They were again brought to the throne from there after 4 in the afternoon and were taken back in the night after arati at dusk and offering of food, etc. So that is taken as their normal resting place. For meeting people, they are coming out and sitting there. One day, the marble floor of the temple became slippery because water had been spilt on it. And as the priest was taking the image of Govinda to the bedroom, he fell down and a leg of the image got broken. There arose a great stir. The priest himself had got hurt and was again trembling with fear. The news reached the proprietors. What would be the upshot of it all? The worship could not be performed with a broken image. What was the way out now? Rani Rasmani and Mathur Babu respectfully invited to a meeting all the famous scholars of the city to ascertain what means should be adopted. Scholars means versed in scriptures. The opinions of those scholars who were unable to be present owing to some business or other were also being collected. It was a matter of great sensation, And there was also an unnecessary waste of money over the Pandits to maintain their prestige at the time of farewell. How much money to be given according to his greatness. The Pandits opened their books, applied snuff, so to say, to the root of their intellects. You understand this? Snuff they smell, and then the brain acts. So, root of the intellect is there. You have seen this? No. You have seen people smoking or thinking seriously? Then only the brain works. Many people took snuff, Pandit especially, and gave the prescription, let the broken image be immersed in the water of the Ganga and a new image be installed in its stead. And a sculptor was given orders to make a new image within no time. The master's decision and the last word on the matter. And I will read it completely. At the close of the meeting, Mathur Babu said to the Rani, but father has not been consulted on the matter. What he said must be ascertained. Saying so, he asked father for his opinion. If, said the father, while in ecstasy, so in divine mood again. If any one of the sons-in-law of the Rani had broken his leg owing to a fall, would he have been forsaken and another person placed in his stead? Or would proper arrangement have been made for his treatment? Let that procedure be followed here also. Let the broken parts of the leg of the image be joined and the worship continued. Why should the image be thrown away? All were surprised to hear of the prescription. Nobody had sufficient brains for this very plain reasoning. If it is to be admitted that the image is living on account of the divine manifestation of Govinda, that manifestation must surely depend on the deep love and devotion in the heart of the devotee and his grace or compassion for him. So why is that manifestation not possible in a broken image as well? If there are love, reverence and devotion in the heart, and the merit or demerit of the broken image can by no means touch that manifestation. Moreover, can the love for the image in which the worship of the Divine Lord has been performed and to which one's heartfelt love has been offered so long, vanish from the heart of a true devotee, simultaneously with the breaking of a particular limb of that image? Saradananda Swami is showing the arguments. The Vaishnava teachers again teach that devotees should serve the Divine Lord in the same way in which they themselves like to be served. Atmavat Seva Puja. That is why so much bhog rag, etc. They think that the Divine Lord loves what oneself likes in any particular condition and inculcate upon us that kind of service. The prescription to give up the image is not proper from that standpoint also. Now the question is why the scriptures still like that. Therefore, the ban on worshipping the deity in a broken image, which is found in the Smritis, is surely meant for the novice who is devoid of love for God and has just begun to tread the path of devotion. So his thing will depend upon the broken leg. He cannot form a full idea. Some of the proud scholars, however, differed from the master's decision. Proud scholars. Some others did not clearly express their views, lest their farewell gift should suffer reduction. Some others again who had acquired little true knowledge and devotion through learning very highly praised the decision of the master when they came to know of it. Because the sabha was over. The master with his own hand joined the broken leg of the image afterwards and the worship of it went on as before. When the sculptor made a new image, because order had already gone to him, and brought it, it was merely placed on one side of the temple of Govinda, but was never duly installed. After the passing away of the Rani and Mathur Babu, their descendants made preparations from time to time for the installation of that new image, but were compelled to put it off on account of some worldly mishap or other on each such occasion. The new image of Govinda is therefore preserved in that condition even now. There is a footnote that now it has been put. Now Thakur's influence is not there on those people. So they have put that new image, and the broken image stands. It is not been thrown. It is stands in a separate room, and the new image has been put. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakasvam Sarvadharma Swarupakah Acharyanam Acharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.